Who are the Physiocrats? The Physiocrats were a group of French Enlightenment thinkers and economists who flourished primarily in the 1750s and 1760s. The term Physiocracy itself comes from the Greek words physis, nature, and kratos, rule, literally meaning rule of nature. They were the first to call themselves economists, and are widely considered the first true school of economic thought, distinct from the preceding mercantilists. The most prominent figure among the Physiocrats was François Quesnay, 1694 to 1774, a court physician to Madame de Pompadour and Louis XV. Other notable Physiocrats included Annie Robert Jacques Turgot, Marquis de Mirabeau, and Pierre Samuel Dupont de Nemours. Core views of the Physiocrats. The Physiocrats' core views revolve around a few fundamental principles. 1. Agriculture as the sole source of wealth, produit net. This is their most distinctive and central belief. Unlike the mercantilists who believed wealth lay in accumulating gold and silver through trade, the Physiocrats argued that true wealth originated solely from agriculture. They contended that only agriculture was capable of producing a net product, produit net, or a surplus, above the costs of production. They saw manufacturing, commerce, and other sectors as sterile, though useful, meaning they merely transformed existing value without creating new wealth. Intuitive explanation. Imagine a farmer planting seeds. The seeds grow into many more plants than were initially sown. This growth, or surplus, is what the Physiocrats called the produit net. A shoemaker, on the other hand, takes leather and turns it into shoes. While he adds value through his labor, the Physiocrats argued he doesn't create new material wealth, he merely transforms existing materials. The land, in their view, was uniquely capable of yielding this natural bounty. 2. Natural order, ordre naturel. The Physiocrats believed in a natural order that governed economic activity, much like natural laws govern the physical world. They felt that this divinely ordained natural order was inherently beneficial and that human laws and government interventions often distorted it, leading to inefficiency and poverty. Intuitive explanation. Think of how an ecosystem works. Animals, plants, and elements interact in a self-regulating way. The Physiocrats believed the economy had a similar natural harmony. If left alone, it would naturally tend towards prosperity and efficiency. Government meddling, like restrictive trade policies or excessive taxes, was seen as disrupting this natural balance. 3. Laissez-faire, laissez-passer. This famous phrase, meaning, let do, let pass, is directly attributable to the Physiocrats. It encapsulates their strong advocacy for minimal government intervention in the economy. They believed that free markets, free trade, and individual liberty were essential for the natural order to function optimally. This was a direct reaction against the heavy government regulation and protectionism of the mercantilist era in France, known as Colbertism. Intuitive explanation. If you believe in a natural order that leads to the best outcome, then it logically follows that you should let nature take its course. For the Physiocrats, this meant letting individuals pursue their economic interests without government interference. They argued that free trade, both domestically and internationally, would allow agricultural surplus to be fully realized and distributed. 4. Circulation of wealth, tableau économique. Quesnay famously developed the tableau économique, economic table, a pioneering attempt to model the flow of income and expenditure between different sectors of the economy. He divided society into three classes. The productive class, farmers and agricultural laborers who produce the produit net. The proprietor class, landowners who receive the produit net as rent. The sterile class, artisans, manufacturers, and merchants who transform goods but do not create new net wealth. The tableau économique illustrated how the surplus from agriculture circulated through these classes, sustaining the entire economy. Intuitive explanation. Imagine money as blood flowing through the body. Quesnay's tableau was like a simple circulatory system diagram for the economy, showing how the lifeblood, the agricultural surplus, flowed from the productive heart, agriculture, to nourish all other parts, landowners, artisans, etc. This was a groundbreaking conceptualization of the economy as an interconnected system. 5. Single tax on land, import unique. Given their belief that only land produced a net surplus, the Physiocrats argued that all taxes should ultimately fall on land rents. They believed that any taxes placed on other sectors, like manufacturing or commerce, would simply be passed on, eventually burdening the landowners anyway, but with more distortion and inefficiency. Therefore, a single, direct tax on the produced net of land was the most efficient and natural form of taxation. Intuitive explanation. If only agriculture truly creates new wealth, then any tax must ultimately come from that source. Taxing other sectors would be like trying to squeeze water from a stone. The tax would just flow back to the ultimate source of wealth, land. So, they thought, why not just tax the source directly and simply? Pinpoint of Physiocrats according to the history of economic thought. The Physiocrats hold a crucial pinpoint in the history of economic thought for several reasons. First, systematic school of economic thought. They moved beyond mere policy recommendations, like the mercantilists, to develop a more coherent and systematic theory of how an economy functions. Their ideas were interconnected and formed a comprehensive system. Emphasis on production over money. They fundamentally shifted the focus of economic analysis from the accumulation of gold and silver, mercantilism, to the real production of goods and services, particularly agriculture. This was a critical step towards understanding wealth in terms of tangible output. Pioneers of laissez-faire, their strong advocacy for minimal government intervention directly paved the way for classical liberal economic thought, most notably influencing Adam Smith. Smith's invisible hand concept has clear echoes of the Physiocrats' natural order. Early macroeconomic model, tableau économique. Quesnay's tableau économique was a revolutionary attempt to visualize and analyze the circular flow of income and output throughout the entire economy. This was a rudimentary form of macroeconomic modeling, anticipating later concepts like national income accounting and general equilibrium. Influence on classical economics. While their central tenet about agriculture being the sole source of wealth was later disproven by the Industrial Revolution, their emphasis on productive labor, the concept of a net product, which evolved into economic surplus, profit, and their advocacy for free markets profoundly influenced Adam Smith and the subsequent classical school of economics. Smith famously studied the Physiocrats during his time in France and acknowledged their significant contributions. In essence, the Physiocrats marked a significant intellectual leap from the more pragmatic and often contradictory ideas of mercantilism to a more theoretical and systematic understanding of economic processes. They laid some crucial groundwork upon which later, more comprehensive economic theories would be built.